For 19 years, this case has haunted the city. A young woman vanished without a trace, and every lead turned cold. Tonight, everything changes. Tonight, the shadows of the past stir, and a new force, unseen, relentless, will guide us toward the truth. 19 years, and still nothing. How did we miss it all? I've walked these streets countless nights, replaying every step, every missed clue. But tonight feels different. Tonight, I feel the edge of revelation. Every detail mattered, but time has a way of erasing the subtle marks that lead to truth. AI now offers a lens sharper than any human eye, capable of scanning decades of cold cases and unseen connections. Could this technology finally illuminate the darkness that has eluded us for nearly 20 years? This alley, we passed it 100 times, and still it hid its secrets. I trace my finger along the edge of the photograph, imagining the footsteps, the echoes, the silences left behind. This changes everything. It's here. Finally, we might see what no one has seen in 19 years. And in that instant, the night seemed alive, shadows shifting, secrets murmuring from the corners of the office. The past was reaching out, urging me to follow the thread where logic feared to tread. The game was about to begin. 19 years of silence had taught us one thing. Every forgotten place hides a memory. When we unlocked that rusted stairwell door, the sound wasn't just metal, it was the case itself, screaming back to life. The flashlight beams cut through dust and shadows, revealing more than walls. They revealed time itself, trapped, waiting. My hand traced the scratches on the stairwell wall. Were they numbers, dates, or a desperate message carved by someone who knew they would never leave? "Hold your light steady," I whispered, though my own hand trembled. At the bottom of the steps, the corridor bent left, swallowing us whole. The air was thick, colder than it should have been, as if the building had lungs and it was exhaling 19 years of rot. Then we saw them. The items: a shoe torn at the sole, a watch, its cracked face frozen at 2:47, a bundle of letters bound tightly with brittle string. I lifted the watch. Its weight felt wrong, heavy, almost accusing. "She was here," someone whispered behind me. But the sound, that strange, hollow drip echoing from behind the wall, pulled us further. Not water, not pipes, something else. When the panel gave way, stale air rushed out, carrying with it the scent of endings. And then, bones, clothing in tatters, a skull crowned with strands of dark hair, slumped in the dark like a secret, finally unwilling to stay hidden. No one spoke, no one breathed. 19 years of questions had led to this one, suffocating silence. They say the dead can't speak. But tonight, the silence argued otherwise. We stood frozen in that chamber, flashlights trembling, shadows pressing closer, as though the building itself leaned in to listen. The bones stared back, mute but loud, filling the air with questions none of us could answer. I knelt beside the remains, forcing myself to look closer. A tag lay half buried in the dust, stamped with numbers too neat, too precise, like they belonged to an inventory. I brushed the dirt away, my breath fogging in the chill. "This wasn't random," I whispered. She was catalogued. The others shifted uneasily. Their lights danced along the walls, where faint scratches bled through the plaster. Not just numbers, patterns, codes. Suddenly my radio crackled with static, a burst sharp enough to slice the silence. For a moment, I thought I heard a voice beneath the noise, low, distorted, almost pleading. But when I pressed the receiver to my ear, there was nothing, just the hiss of empty channels. I set the tag beside the watch, the letters, the fragments of a life cut short. Together they formed a puzzle, pieces scattered by time, but begging to be reassembled. "Look at the handwriting," one officer murmured, holding up a letter. The ink had faded, but the strokes were frantic, hurried, as though written in the dark. I read aloud, "If they find this, it means they found me. Don't trust—" The rest of the sentence bled away in a blur of smudged ink. A chill gripped me, stronger than the damp air. This wasn't just evidence. This was a warning. The drip behind the wall began again, steady this time. Deliberate. Knock, knock, knock. My skin crawled. "That's not water," I said, backing away. The others looked at me like I was losing grip. But I could see it in their eyes too. The fear, the doubt, the realization that maybe we weren't the only ones here tonight. The stairwell groaned above us, as if something shifted its weight. Dust drifted down in lazy spirals. We weren't alone in this building. And whatever else lived here with us, it had waited 19 years for company. They say walls have ears. But tonight, these walls had a voice. The letters, the tag, the watch, they were more than just fragments. They were a map, a thread leading deeper into the heart of this place. We followed the scratches along the plaster, faint grooves etched by desperate hands. The path led us down a narrow corridor, the air tightening with every step, as though the building itself tried to squeeze us out. Our flashlights swept across pipes dripping with rust, each drop echoing like a heartbeat. Then, there it was again, that sound. Not a drip, not a knock, a rhythm, like someone tapping from the other side. I pressed my palm against the wall, cold, solid, yet the tapping continued, syncopated, deliberate. "There's space behind here," I whispered. We weren't investigators anymore. We were intruders, trespassers in a tomb that had been sealed for a reason. And the dead don't forgive trespassers. The others exchanged uneasy glances. One officer reached for a crowbar. With every strike against the wall, dust rained down, choking the air. The sound reverberated through the corridor like thunder. Then, with a crack, the wall gave way. A hollow cavity opened before us. My flashlight pierced the darkness and froze. Inside was not one body, but several. Layered, collapsed, tangled together as if they had been thrown in without care. Their bones interlocked in grotesque silence, mouths gaping like they were still screaming. The letters hadn't been a story of one victim. This was bigger, darker. "This is a burial chamber," I breathed. The radio crackled again, sharper this time, a voice breaking through the static. Just one word, distorted but unmistakable. "Run." The corridor lights flickered. The tapping returned, louder now, not just from one wall, but from all around us. A chorus of knocks circling, closing in. The officers raised their weapons, but bullets wouldn't stop the walls. The air pressed tighter, the shadows deeper. Something was waking, and we had just broken the seal. They warned us, but we didn't listen. The chamber's air was thick, heavy, choking with something more than dust. It carried the weight of voices, hundreds, maybe thousands, echoing just beyond comprehension. I felt the walls trembling, not with knocks this time, but with movement, like something alive, shifting beneath the concrete. "Detective, we need to get out," one of the officers shouted, but the corridor seemed longer now, stretched into an impossible tunnel. The exit was gone, swallowed by the dark. Our flashlights flickered. Every time the beam cut out, the bodies in the chamber looked different, closer, rearranged, their bony fingers reaching further toward us. I lifted the radio, my hand shaking. "Who's there? Who are you?" Static hissed. Then, layered over the crackling, came a reply, not one voice, but a chorus. Male, female, old, young, all speaking as one. "You broke the seal. Now you belong to us." The chamber groaned like a throat swallowing. Dust rained from above. The skeletal pile shifted. An arm jerked. A skull rolled. Jaws clattered like teeth grinding. One officer screamed and fired his weapon into the pile. The bullets tore through bone, but instead of scattering, the skeletons moved. They clambered, crawling over one another, their eyeless sockets glowing faintly with pale light. We stumbled back, but the corridor closed around us. The knocks became pounding. The pounding became a roar. The building wasn't just a structure, it was alive. I felt a hand, cold, brittle, wrap around my ankle. I looked down. A skeletal hand had dragged itself free from the chamber, fingers clawing deep into my skin. I kicked, tore it off, but more were reaching. The voices rose, overlapping in a terrible symphony. "Join us! Join us! Join us!"